Hello and welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent converts and seasoned fans alike. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Angelica.
And welcome to another Movie Club episode. We watched a movie.
We sure did, in a whole theater this time.
Yes,
Very
exciting.
Is this the first time that we've done a movie theater?
Absolutely.
Yeah, movie club in a movie theater.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, in our first movie club episode, we talked about seeing Swing Kids in the theater because we had just done that, but that was not the movie.
That was not the movie we did for movie club, and I am glad because that movie was a bummer.
Yeah, it really was. But the movie we watched this week was not a bummer.
Not at all.
No, it was a good time. We went to the theater to see The Dreaming, the new Monsta X movie that was in limited release for just the weekend, all over the world though.
Yes.
In lots and lots of places, which is very exciting. So later on, we'll hear from listeners who posted their thoughts in the Discord, who saw it in a variety of countries in different theater settings. So very exciting. But to start off, like all movie clubs, we're going to just recap the whole movie. If you didn't see it, we're going to tell you about it.
Yeah, we'll just go basically scene by scene and tell you exactly what happened. So if you don't want spoilers, this is not the episode for you.
No.
But there's not really anything to spoil, I will say, in this movie, because it's not like most of our other movie clubs have been actual films
Theatrical
with like a narrative
movies, yeah.
plot. Yes. And this is not that. This is like a documentary concert DVD.
Yes, exactly. So we took notes while we were in the theater.
Yes, we
so we're
did.
going to go
In
through
the dark.
our notes. We went to go see this movie at the CityWalk in Hollywood, which is attached to Universal Studios. It's like a big, ridiculous, huge movie theater, but the theaters themselves only have like 40 chairs, maybe.
Yes.
They're like little, because the chairs are like those big, recliny kind.
Yeah, they have really nice, like big armrests, but I was surprised because the whole theater only has about 5 rows. About 5 or 6 rows total, and then each row only has like 10 seats.
Yeah.
So it's pretty small. And we got there really early, so
Yes,
it was pretty empty when we got there. And I thought that it was going to stay fairly empty, but it actually filled up. Like I would say 3 to 4 of the 5 rows that were there were like almost entirely full.
Yeah.
And the age range was like teenagers to early 20s, I would say, aside from us.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a regular movie, so they played like regular trailers.
So my first note is that there were immediate woos for Tom Holland's face.
I have that too. I wrote, my note just says Tom Holland squeal.
Yeah, I said immediate woos for Tom Holland. Is this crowd going to be fun? And I'll talk about that later, but I thought maybe the crowd would be a little
The
more
crowd,
fun.
the row we were in was filled with a group of like 8.
They all came in together.
Yeah, they all came in together. The girl who was sitting next to me was very young. And they loved Spider-Man. They were so reactive to that trailer. So I definitely thought that they were going to be like woohooing through the movie as well. But more on that later. So then, just like with no aplomb, it cuts straight from trailers to ads for the DVD and the album.
Yeah, an ad for The Dreaming that was too loud. It was like blaring. So it like surprised everyone. It was like The Dreaming, new album from Monsta X, like that trailer, but it like scared me. Then the movie actually started. We opened on I Am voiceover talking about his dream, the thesis of the movie that they kept repeating was like, my dream. And like, my dream always was. I'm like,
right.
Whatever. So he's giving a monologue about like dreaming about touching the stars, and then they were showing baby pictures of baby videos.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like we start with baby pictures of all the members, and then we get pre-debut and like audition footage of each one, but they're all like mixed together. You don't really get like a nameplate. They
didn't label them at all. I could only be like, that's definitely Baby Shonu, but they didn't like label them.
Yes, exactly. And then they had like footage of them being in LA and some of the concerts. So we just started like a a montage.
A montage
getting to
to
see
introduce
members.
the dreaming.
Mhm.
Then it was like a little talking heads. They had like a big empty like studio room, and then they all got like shot individually sitting on different little
Yes.
like squares. And they didn't like introduce themselves in any way. They just sort of started
Mm-mm.
talking about what they wanted to be when they grew up.
Yeah, well, they started by talking about like how they each got into music.
Right.
And like Chu Honey talked about how he started because he was in like the church choir or something. And
Yes.
so they started by just reflecting on their like introduction to music and their relationship with it. But yeah, they didn't take a moment to be like, my name is Kihyun. Like,
I'm the second
I'm the
oldest.
lead
like
vocal
whatever.
or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't get that.
I
kind
think
of
there was like a
introduction.
quick, flash of their like, nameplate under, but they didn't like introduce
Yes.
themselves. But I wrote that Hyungwon said he wanted to be an actor originally.
Mhm.
And then a funny thing that we laughed very hard at, and then I
And
was like,
nobody
oh,
else laughed.
was I.M. said that he had the idea one day that it would be really cool to write a song, and then quote made me drop out of school, and we laughed so hard and no one else laughed. That was funny.
It was funny because the deadpan expression, the way that he just looked straight into the camera and was like, so I had to drop out of school. It was like, I wanted to write a song, so obviously I had to drop out of school. And I was like, what? Like, that's so insane. And I don't know, maybe it's just us that like everything he says makes me laugh.
It's
I don't know.
he's so
Everything
unintentionally
he
funny.
says makes me laugh. I think he's so funny. But anyway, yeah, just a side note, in all of these talking heads, they're wearing like beautiful pastel, like deconstructed suits. Like they're all wearing like nice button ups and slacks in different colors. And like the room is white, and they're sitting on like a brightly colored statement piece of furniture.
Yeah.
With nothing else in the room. And then this leads to footage of their debut concert of like them walking up onto the
all
stage.
black and white, like
Mhm.
the crowd, Monsta X, and the like sweaty, like dum, dum, like really the drama of it all. And then they like start to rise out of the stage, and I thought like, oh my god, are we gonna get to watch their like
Yeah.
debut concert? This is so sweet, like old footage.
No.
Kicked us in the face.
With Gambler.
This Gambler performance, and Monsta X was 30 feet
Oh my
high,
God.
and I could not cope. Like, it immediately was I started getting really sweaty. I wrote it in my notes at some point, but I started getting very sweaty. It was like a lot.
Yeah, it was a really cool transition because it was like the way they did it was great, but it was so shocking. And like to see them so big, they're wearing these like different variations of flight suits that are maroon, and they have a lot of like strappies, and they're wearing like, boots. And IM's is kind of a crop top, and so you get a lot of tummy flashes the whole time.
Everybody's is like a crop, but everyone else seems to have like a
shirt on
bodysuit or
underneath.
like a fully tucked like shirt that is not going anywhere. But no, not I
Not
am.
I
And the
am.
first time that stomach came out, the scream I scrumped. Like, it absolutely knocked me over. And there's other comments about it. I was not the only one. It was so much to handle.
Yeah, especially because they are so large.
Yeah.
They're so like I was like, okay, like raking good transition, like made notes about the costumes. Like I was so good. I was like, wow, they're definitely live vocals at the time of this recording. Like you could hear them through the mics. But I even took notes of how many backup dancers there were and what they were wearing. But it all ends with all caps, just this big screen.
Yes. Okay. I wrote in all caps, this just like hits. Oh my God. Like the way that the Gambler like choreography that like
Yes.
snaps. It was like it was punching me in
Oh
the
my God.
chest.
It was so good.
And then I wrote, they're just too big, and a bunch of crying faces. Because there was too much. And then after the Gambler stage ended, it cut to this like VCR type montage of them like in suits with like dramatic lighting like washing over them. And I was again too overwhelmed and just like squealing. And I was like, is this what this movie is going to be? Like, I can't do this. But they never did that again. There was not another part like that in the rest of the movie where they
Of
were
like
just
the photo shoot.
They were just like video posing, and there was another like monologue happening over it. I didn't hear a single thing he said though, because I was just like, I can't do this.
Well, they start talking about like the concept of Monsta X and like the image that they have, because they like right after the show or right after the stage, they cut to them just like looking beautiful. But then we get to hear from their choreographers.
Yeah, it was a little staff interview montage, and they did like a really quick cut of like a manager and an assistant like just saying like a couple of things, and then it like stayed on the two choreographers like for a while.
Yeah, because these two guys whose names I did not get a chance to write down because it was a dark theater.
And they flashed them so
quickly. They have been with them since debut. So they sort of reflected on how like they were kind of like a beastly group at the beginning, but that they have come into a genre of their own, and they also called them the perfect group, which I know it's a movie about them and they obviously wanted to hype them up, but
hey, very nice. And then the best part of this little choreographer part was they did like a little like montage of different trainee footage of all of them, with the choreographers being like, well, like Hyungwon's really tall, and usually tall people aren't good at dancing, but like he was so graceful, and like, you know, Minhyuk was scared of how, like, he wasn't good at dancing and it scared him, and Kihyun just wanted to sing, and like Shonu helped him like learn how to. That's when we first saw Shonu, and Shonu got a little like out of everybody. The first like real appearance of Shonu got a nice squeal out of everyone.
Yes, because like I said, the choreographers have worked with them since debut, so we got nice background in dance to each one, because they already told us how they first got introduced to music, so now we're looking at their dance. And it seemed like really only Shonu had like a background in dance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got some of their experiences as trainees. Oh, and then we get like the only part of the movie that was self-cam footage.
Oh my God.
Of them in the car.
Yeah.
Because they were on their way to a meeting about this movie. So you get like a very, very quick, like, we're in the car on the way, and then it goes straight to the movie. And you never, ever, ever give the camera to Monsta X again.
No. And I wrote at this part, meeting about movie, very meta, naive, Shannon. That is the movie.
That is the movie.
That is the movie.
That is the movie.
Little did I know.
Yes. So we go to this movie meeting, and the members each get to give their own input. They want to show what the fans would want to see and create some kind of surprise for the Monbebe. They want to include the casual side of Monsta X, but also show the preparation that they do for the album and the stages. And I wrote down Juhani's suggestion for a title, which was Untold Stories of Monsta X, Screening of Humanity.
I'm really glad you wrote that down, because all I managed to write down during this scene is Hyungwon's t-shirt says t-shirt. Because he was wearing a t-shirt and it said t-shirt.
I didn't even notice that because I was writing all this other shit down. Perfect team. High five.
Yes. Then we went back to the talking head things again, and they asked them to give a message to Monbebe, and all I wrote down again is that Hyungwon said that he bulked up so that you'll be able to see him better from afar.
Okay, maybe that is why all I wrote under this, individual messages to fans, Hyungwon. That's all I wrote.
Well, that's what he said, and it got a real good laugh out of everyone.
Okay,
and it was
great.
like it
That
was
must
the
have been
most
it.
important moment, I think.
And then we go to our next stage, which is Love Killa.
Yes, and again, they were still in the maroon outfits. And this was again like really good, but the absence of Shonu was when I first like really noticed it, because and they'll talk about it in a second. They had to redo everything.
Yes.
So that all the lines get sung, and to redo all the choreo. So like people were in the middle that aren't usually in the middle, and it was like, ee! And like people sang lines that they didn't usually sing, and it was like, ee! Like there was a lot of surprises, which was fun.
But I did have to, I noticed Shonu's absence the most when we got to that part in the Love Killer choreo where they go
yes, because that's his favorite
because
part.
that's Shonu's favorite part, and he's usually at the front of the triangle when they do it, and he wasn't there.
Yes. I wrote, I cannot handle 20-foot I am sweating. It was so much. Like they were crystal clear and so big, and the music was so loud. Like it was just such an experience. And the the live vocals for these performances was friggin' excellent. I'll talk about it more when we get to the new songs, but like I really want them to release an album of this concert, like these versions, because they're really good and they're different from the album versions in every way because of member replacements and the lack of auto-tune and just like, I don't know.
They're completely different. And I was gonna say, like, as you were saying that, like, if this movie had just been a full, like, 1.5, 2 hour Monsta X concert, like on that stage, that would have been fucking great.
Yeah.
I literally wouldn't have needed any of the interviews or any of the other stuff. Like if it had just been a concert at a movie theater, why don't they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because I
like all of the, well, I guess the theaters were closed. Because I was going to say, like, all those Beyond Live ones, like, why weren't those in movie theaters? Oh, right.
Because we weren't supposed to go to those. But yeah, they showed the way that like Fathom Events has been showing opera to people. Like somebody should be putting more K-pop concerts on the Fathom Events.
Yeah, I always want to go to those opera or ballet ones because
I've gone to a couple.
love the ballet.
They're wonderful.
I really want to go. Anyway, not related. This was not a concert movie, but Love Killa was amazing. And afterward, we went back to like the interview and we got to see some post-debut footage because now they're going to reflect on their rise to popularity.
I wrote down specifically that segment opened with Ki-hyun saying, "We didn't fall from the moon." And I thought that was like an interesting way to say that, you know, this didn't come out of nowhere.
The quote I wrote down was, "We climbed little by little." So I think together those really capture the, again, good teamwork.
Yes. But they did like talk a lot about like worrying about if they weren't ever going to make it or whatever.
Because they didn't get their first win until Shootout. Yeah. So they spent a lot of time in this segment reflecting on the first time they went to #1 and how they got to share tears with Monbebe. And the members
they've never seen Shonu
cry like that. And then right as we are in our like, first win Monsta X feels, they hit us with
Drama, Rama, hey. Drama, Rama, hey. And there was like such a collective like, like, oh my God, no. Or at least maybe we were over. I don't know what other people were doing, but we couldn't handle Drama Rama in that moment.
Yeah, I personally do feel like I was able to stay in my own world, like just the two of us for most of that movie, but there was someone sitting next to me and this like whole row of people, and I feel like everybody else was way less vocal than we were. But I
thought we should have been having a good time. Okay.
I thought we were here to have fun, y'all. Anyway,
the Drama Rama stage.
The Drama Rama stage was fantastic. And as we said before, when we got to see them in the self-cam going to the meeting about this movie, we got to see like what kind of input they put into it. And I feel like you can really see that in this Drama Rama stage because the camera work on the footwork in this stage was perfect.
They caught all the best parts.
It was perfect. And like that doesn't happen without like a perfect collaboration of everyone who knows everything about the song and the performance and like what you need to do to come together and capture it so beautifully. And it was enormous and it was phenomenal. And Ki-hyun's vocals are so
he's
amazing,
fucking astounding. I wrote it down so many times. So many
times. He's so good.
He's so good.
So good.
But the Drama Rama stage was like really interesting. It was definitely extremely bittersweet, but it was like a really cool thing to see because that is an OT7 Monsta X song.
Yes.
So they weren't only replacing Shonu lines, but also Wonho lines. So like that was like a little sad, but at the same time, members who like at that time weren't even singing were taking Wano and Shonu lines. And like they've all grown so much. And it was like a different, like I'm saying, I wish they would release an album version of this because it's different. It's a different version.
And it shows a completely different side of Monsta X than like the original track does, for sure. But it was still so fun and so good. And like, it definitely didn't feel like something was missing, even though it was the first like real throwback song that we have on the set list. But it felt like they made it their own and they made it like new.
Yeah.
And it was great.
So then we cut to day 15 till the concert recording. They're in the studio. This is when they explain to us, Shonu's not here. He's in the military, so we have to redo everything.
Yeah, so all of the tracks have to be rearranged, and we get to see PD Honey being so serious. And I laughed so hard when when Ki-hyun was in the booth, and he would just tell him like, sharp, flat. Again. And like no smile, so serious. And they like made fun of him for being so serious. So then when he got into the booth, he decided to play a little prank on everybody else.
They were trying to play a prank on him where they ask the very nice producer girl sitting at the board to like mess with his vocals so that when he goes to sing, it'll like be all weird in his ear or they can play it back and laugh at him. But he pulls one on them and he very passionately lip syncs but makes no sound. So then they all start like wondering if the mic is broken and like trying to mess with stuff. And he's like, they don't know I'm not singing.
And the
like,
girl even reboots the whole system. She like asks if it would be okay to reboot it. And Ki-hyun says, yeah, it's fine. So she does. And then they find out, like, because he does it again or whatever, they discover it. And Ki-hyun scolds him and is like, she is embarrassed now because of you. I'm like, do you think this is a joke?
And then when he actually did his take, like this was the funniest part of the movie.
It was.
And then when he did his take, they said that he sounded too pansori in the delivery. And he said, I quote, pansori is the spirit of Korea. Like he scolded them back. Like that is the backbone of our industry. Let me do.
Yes, I wrote that this prank devolves into a pansori defense. These precious idiots.
It was so
Those are
cute.
my notes. It was great. It was definitely a highlight of the whole thing for sure.
So after this studio funny part,
Yes, they cut back to the interview room where everybody's in the white. And they talk about their new album. It's going to be their second US album, and they're going to try some different genres. And IM says to listen to his voice because it is featured very well in the album, which I will say post listening to the album, that is true.
It's true.
And you should listen for his voice because he
wasn't
sounds
lying.
great. So they basically just reflect a little bit, each of them, on how proud they are of the music they make together. Like they do like the music that they put out. And they really always feel, I think it was Minhyuk who says he loves it when he hears a fan say like, oh yes, this sounds like a genuine Monsta X song.
Then we cut to another performance, and my notes all had question marks for a while because it was like clearly who do you love? You could hear that. They were wearing like different silky shirts and white pants, but they started the song at the end, and I was like, why did we start the song at the end? I'm so confused. Then I wrote in crazy, all caps, oh my God, IM is singing the Wonho part. I'm gonna die. He sang the outro bridge. And I was like, what? Because when Who Do You Love came out, I was furious because IM doesn't have lines in Who Do You Love. He says nothing.
At all.
No, because remember, there's just the terrible French Montana rap, and he did nothing in that song. So hearing him sing the outro bridge, I lost my mind.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I started out all caps, silk, pastel, boyfriends, and white pants, RIP us all. And it ends with short version, heartbreak, because it ended so quickly.
It ended so fast, because they literally just did the end.
Yeah. And I was very upset. But I did write down great IM vocals as well because it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So then we cut to choreography rehearsal, and we have 7 days away from the filming of this concert stage that we have been watching this whole time. And they talk about how they practice every day, and we get footage of them in the practice room, like marking it in different ways and spending a lot of time on like small details like their hand motions, etc. And they talk about how they have to adjust all the choreo to have 5 members with the same energy as 6.
Then they start arguing.
Yeah. Specifically, Minhyuk and
Hyungwon have to do a little like 2-part in You Problem, and they're like fighting about how they agreed to do it. Then they tell us that like all of the time that they waste, like most of practice is spent arguing over who is right. And then the choreographers say like they actually like get over it really easy. They like as soon as somebody realizes like
that
if you prove
wrong,
it, they say they're wrong and they say they're sorry and it's fine. But like you can tell like Honey is like actually getting pissed at one point at how much they are fighting. And then they do say sorry to each other immediately. And I am's like eating some chips and he's like, anybody want chips? And like, it's just like a very awkward thing. And then they said that somebody quote said, we bend whoever's voice is the loudest.
Yeah, we just follow whoever yells the loudest. But they also talked about how like having these kinds of arguments makes them like you said, as soon as they realize they're wrong, they apologize and get over it. And they're like, it's like a real family. Like they just get over
that's
it
the
really
part
fast.
where they explain that there are no sisters in any Monsta X family.
So they are like real brothers because
they just have brother energy because it's all
brothers.
they know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then we get the stage of the new single.
Yes, and we get to see what they were just rehearsing and arguing about, which is You Problem. And that's what Minhyuk should have just started going, say You Problem. That would have been funny.
No, you don't. But that's a you problem. You know it's out my hands.
This is a 90s concept. Bowling alley. They're all wearing really brightly colored windbreakers,
starter jackets, and other like 90s Dream Boy aesthetic things.
Yes.
I wrote, this was the first time I'd ever heard the song, but I wrote this song sounds like Dolly, and it's because it has like almost the same chord progression as 9 to 5, and that's why it's so catchy.
It does. I thought it sounded a lot like George Michael's Faith. There are certain parts of it that remind me of the like, well, I guess it would be nice. Because that like chunk guitar, it fits pretty well.
I also all caps wrote, oh my god, falsetto, Kihyun and Honey are absolutely unstoppable. The falsetto, oh my god, this again, I need this version of You Problem because it's not auto-tuned to death and they were fucking singing it.
They were singing it so beautifully. Because like I said, it's like chugging guitar, it's got that steady beat, and then there's like a 2 or 3 part harmony in most of it, and then Kihyun started the falsetto and we were all like, of course, he can hit those notes. Beautiful. Sing it, Kihyun. And then Honey hit the same notes and we were like, what? Who? Excuse me? It was awesome. It was awesome.
I'm so proud of this version of Monsta X. Like, I cannot believe the progress that the rap line has made and the vocalists that they astound me.
Yeah.
And it's made them such a more well-rounded group now that like all of their voices can be like part of singing lines, and yet the rap line can do their iconic duo rap line shit.
Yeah. Now they can do it all. It's so good. It's so good.
But yeah, the choreo with the mic stands, and it's just like very adorable.
It's very fun. It's kind of line dancey. The whole thing is just like hip shaking. But speaking of the rap line growing as vocalists, I.M has a whole verse in this, and it's really good.
Yeah, I'm so proud.
He's a really good singer now.
I know,
and that wasn't always the case.
I know. It's so great. I love
little
growth.
Monstas.
My little Monstas. Okay, so then after You Problem, we cut to their American manager, this dude, Eshi. And I wanted to start a boo, but I didn't know if anyone would join me. But I know he is unliked. just because he seems to really fucking center himself. Like the whole weekend they were here, he's like in every video. Like, I don't know. I think he just really likes being around Monsta X. So he's like talking about like how lucky he is to have gotten to show them to America because they're so good, and obviously he loves them the best. No, anyway. But as he was talking about it, I noticed like they kept doing as like a storytelling device. They would like pop up like, you know, internet headlines like pew, 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 over the screen.
Yes.
Like where he was talking about, so then we decided to do an American tour, and it was like Monsta X American tour. And I noticed that a majority of those things, even though they had blurred it out, were from all K-pop.
Oh,
Shame.
boo.
Shame.
Wow, there's so and also the Monsta X, like that was at a time where we had US coverage of K-pop. Like there are so many for shame.
For shame.
Anyway, yes, so we get to reflect on all of these international shows. They talk about how their first one in the US was KCON. And they talk about like the original album, which was All About Love, and how they got into the top 5. And then they did, but originally their first tour in the US was the Jingle Ball tour. And so Ashley was very proud of himself for getting them on the
first
Jingle
ever
Ball
Korean
tour.
act on the Jingle Ball tour.
And now their new album is the US Top 40. So yeah.
Yeah, but then they also talked about how like the whole US tour was like very demanding and really difficult, but that the Mom Baby made it really great and made them feel really welcome. Minhyuk even said that he didn't feel like he was in a foreign country because everyone was singing the Korean songs back at him, and he felt like they knew him and like he was safe there or whatever.
Yeah, they really loved seeing all of the fans singing in Korean, and they were very surprised to see that as well. This montage made me a little emotional.
Yeah, there was so many like sweeping like camera shots of all of that All About Love tour stuff, and I felt like I could feel the people in our row getting excited, and I thought maybe they thought they were going to see themselves in one of the clips. I was like, oh, are they getting excited because they were at one of these things?
Yeah, because this is also where we got, and I think this is the only part where we got fan interviews. Because there were clips of fans saying like why they loved Monsta X or what was great about them or whatever. And the fans just were different levels of eloquent, and it was all very endearing and fun.
Yes. So then we have another stage for one day.
Yes, one day.
They were wearing super sparkly shirts, and they like the way that this one was staged was that like they were all standing in a single file line. Like as they sing their lines, they would like move, and then the next one would be behind them. And then did they just settle on stools?
Yeah, they just sat and sang, and they were wearing white pants with these white bedazzled button-ups in all different variations, and they had like a disco ball that made them look kind of like they were underwater. Like the lighting was very like pastel and warbly, but yeah, it was beautiful.
My note for this one was that in the surround sound of the theater, the yeah, maybe the on the yeah, maybe I will were like vibrating my bones, and I was like, yes, this is so satisfying. Like, oh my God, it was like turning your favorite song up in the car, but times 1,000. It was so good to just like,
again,
have it in
a
that
whole
experience.
concert would have been awesome. Maybe next time.
All right, so now we're day 5, stage meeting.
Yes, so we have a meeting with the concert PD who has worked with Monsta X for 7 years. And she says that she really likes it when artists have opinions and input. And then it cuts to the meeting where Monsta X is talking about what kind of like LED backgrounds they want for the set, and how where the cameras should be coming from. Like I said, the camera work was great.
Yeah.
And here we see them actually putting input into it, which was pretty cool.
Then it is concert day is the next thing I have written down.
Yeah, and we get this like preparation montage. So we see them in the practice room, and we get this like time lapse of
them building the set and the sound stage, because like we haven't explained it at this point, but all of these performances are like music show style, no audience, like straight to the camera on a set. Like they didn't have any kind of actual quote unquote concert.
Yes.
It was this virtual movie concert was the point. But no one was watching, which they talk about when they're like getting their outfits on. I think like Ki-hyun says like, this feels very weird to be like giving whole concert energy to no one.
Yes, I wrote that down too, that it's a concert without the fans, because I think that's how they described it, and they felt like it was very surreal, and that they were all very much missing the Mon Bebe because they were like going out onto the stage and crickets.
To no one.
Like, no one's
But
there.
while they were talking about this was like my first like getting eye rolly at the movie moment. While they were talking about this, nervous to do the concert, we were watching slow-mo montages of all the stages we had already watched.
Yeah.
Already montaging, and there's still like 30 minutes left of the movie, and they really start wrapping it up, and then they just keep wrapping it up for like 30 minutes.
Yes. So this is the point in the movie where, for me, I won't say it started going downhill, because at no point was I unhappy that I was seeing this movie.
Right.
However, at this point, we've been sitting in this movie theater for a very long time, and I really have to pee. And I'm now watching a montage of stages I've already seen. So I start to think it's the end.
Right.
And when you have to pee in a movie and you think it's going to be over, and then it's not over.
Every minute
and
is
then
torture.
It's still not over. And then it's still not over. It feels like it's suddenly 3 hours long.
Right.
So I'm just going to say that now in case you wonder why I start to get more critical. If I suddenly start to get more critical, I really had to pee. Okay. So we see a montage of everything we've already seen before. But I will say Choo-Honey like looked right at the camera and got it to say a little message to his mom, like, "Look, Mom, I'm in a movie." And that was very cute. But again, felt like we were wrapping things up.
Then it's a stage time again. This is another new song from the Dreaming album, which I didn't have the name of at the time, but I now know is called Whispers in the Dark.
I wrote Whisper in the Dark based solely on the fact that they repeated that phrase many times in the song.
Makes sense.
Whispers in the dark. No, you don't even know who you are. There's a price that you placed in your heart.
And they were in like a 6 square, like 2-story grid, and they were all in little different like rooms where there was like a table and a lamp and a chair with that like matched each of their little outfits and personalities.
Yes, I wrote down that it was like a dollhouse set because it's like a, like a cross section of a house. And yeah, they just sort of sit and they sing. And this was the first time that we had heard this song. And Choo-Honey and I.M start it, and then Min-hyuk takes over. But I feel like it really kicks off when Ki-hyun starts, who comes in like after Min-hyuk finishes the first verse. And this song was really great. Like it felt like an 80s driving song, like a lot of big like synths and bass. It's very sweeping.
Yes, very like sweeping ballad. I was trying to like place, but it felt like a really 90s like George Michael or Seal, or I've been thinking about it a lot, and I feel like the group Mr. like is a vibe that like people are going for or something. I don't know, but it like had like a old school feel and a drama, and I loved it.
Yes. And there was at some point, I don't know if we already said it, but there was at some point when they were talking about the album. Oh, no, it was during this prep montage when they're like about to go on to the concert or whatever. And they talk about how the new album is kind of retro. And then we went to this song. So it felt like, oh, yes, I can see the retro vibes in it for sure. But yeah, it's really beautiful. Like Ki-hyun, Min-hyuk, and Choo-Honey have a really beautiful harmony on the little like oohs. Yeah.
Love it. Then I have that we're at more We Love Mon Bebe, like montaging.
So we're back to the talking heads of them in this white room, and I wrote Ments because it felt like we're leading toward the end, right? I'm thinking about this as though we are watching a concert.
They also
right?
actually were intersplicing new Ments with footage of them doing old men and
Yes.
crying at concerts.
So the talking heads are reflecting on the last concert that they had, right? Because they were just talking about how, oh, this concert is like a concert without any fans. So now they're thinking back to the last time
they
they
saw an
had a
audience or
concert
something.
with fans. And then it cuts to them actually at the concert doing their events and like crying and whatever. And they talk about how important their bond is with the Mon Bebe.
I thought I heard someone crying behind me. I couldn't be sure, but I thought I heard someone crying behind me.
Well, it would be a good time to cry because this is where we then go into the like main ballad of the concert, which is The Dreaming.
Getting to hold and let's go of the magic. If touching the sky is why we're all reaching our we're missing the point and missing the meaning. Is it the knowing? Is it the seeing? Or is it the dreaming?
Yes, this is another new song on the album. They did this one like sitting on like 3 weird little like bleacher
Risers,
stairs.
yeah, like in choir.
Yeah, just like sitting.
And they're back in their white Prince outfits with their bedazzled white tops. Because Whispers in the Dark, they were all wearing like different
Kind of
beautiful like dark
loungy
suits.
suits.
But yeah, kind of like smokers lounge
Yes.
stuff. And now we're back in our white outfits, which was, I felt, a weird choice. The way that they went back and forth.
Outfits
They
and stuff.
obviously filmed it felt like they must have filmed the concert in a different order that they
Right.
put them in the show.
Because when you go to a real concert, they change outfits 3 times or whatever. But like they
Yeah.
were mixing up the outfits.
Exactly. Like a real concert, these stages had only 3 outfits, but we saw them in different order. We saw them going back and forth between the outfits, which you normally wouldn't see at a live
Never
concert.
happened.
And it made it feel weird to me as someone who's been to a Monsta X show before.
Sure.
But anyway.
But The Dreaming is such a beautiful, it's just like such a beautiful ballad. And the only way that I can like describe it, and this is like the way that this song makes me feel. If The Dreaming came out in 1997, little Shannon would have gone into my closet to get my tie-dye dress with the twirliest of skirts and my boombox, and I would have stayed in the backyard for hours making up interpretive dances to The Dreaming and being like as dramatic as possible. Like that's what that song makes me feel.
Wow. Wow, I love that. That's such a beautiful image. And thank you for the details because I could picture it so perfectly. My only notes for this is that Ki Hyun is an angel.
Angel, absolute angel.
It was beautiful. His voice is phenomenal. And there's really lovely low harmonies in this song as well.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. And again, it's a different arrangement than you hear on the album because Shonu's not in it.
Yes.
And it's really lovely.
Yeah.
Like, I miss you, Shonu, but this was very lovely.
It was so nice. Then more mints, but this time the question is, what will you say to Mon Bebe when you see them again?
When you see them again, what will you say? So some of them just say, I missed you. But then I think it's True Honey who just goes, are you ready?
Yeah, Drew Honey said he wants to be able to scream, "Are you ready?" to like a
Yes.
crowd of people. But this part also felt kind of weird to me because they were talking about being able to see their fans again like it was this far off indefinite dream when like I knew that the day before they had sat in a theater with 100 people and watched this movie with them and that they were doing fan meets all weekend and that they are Jingle Ball touring right now and that I'm going to see them in 6
have
weeks.
tickets to see them in less than 2 months.
Yeah,
So
so it
this
was like-
dream is not actually
Right.
that far.
So it just felt kind of weird because it was like, but I am going to see, like, you're seeing
like,
people
I'm gonna
right
see
now.
you, like tomorrow.
Yeah. But it was still like, it was, you know, it was nice and sweet. They just kept trying to.
Yes. So then we get Secrets.
Which a tone change. Like, again, the movie's not over and we're like going back into doing fun,
Yes.
our fun slow jam songs.
Yeah, because now we're back in the same dollhouse set that was Whispers in the Dark. We're back to our lounge suits because now is when I noticed that Minhyuk's not wearing a shirt under
Yeah,
his.
lots of no shirts.
Excuse you, sir. And yeah, so now you have the set, but without the house. So they're just like standing in these,
And they had
like,
mic stands.
yeah, they
I
had
think.
mic stands, and they're just standing in these like boxes. And the boxes have like LED lights behind them. And then like the big screens behind them are all black and white, except for the boxes behind them, which I thought was really cool because they would light up when each one was singing.
Right.
And it was nice. But yeah, this is the secrets we have to specify, because this new album has a song called Secrets, but this is the secrets
From the last album.
previous album.
From the last Korean album. The one
yes.
English song on the last Korean album.
Yeah, the one, tell me, I know you got secrets.
Tell me what
Tell
you
me
want or the night
what's
is
your
over.
secret. Yes.
Dirty little secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wrote for this one, Kihyun is literally fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how on he was this day. He always is, but like, oh
But
my
this
God,
day,
flawless.
on this day, he was heard.
He was heard. So then they start doing bye-bye waves. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, the movie's over.
And Minhyuk does an ending slate, and he claps because the
board.
concert's over. And they have what I write down for the second time as their final ments. And they say, stay healthy. We'll see you soon. Minhyuk talks about how he wants to crowd surf. Oh, and then they do a group bow, and the crew brings out a cake on the sound stage, and they like celebrate the end of filming for this movie.
But no.
But no, because then they say, oh, after tonight, we don't know when we'll have another. So let's stand up.
And then they did Stand Up, which is like their fan song from, I want to say, the Fantasia album. I can't remember now.
Yes. And it feels like an encore song.
Yes.
And they're back in their You Problem windbreakers with their little handheld mics.
And it was very fun. And even though I had been trying to hold it in and be good because no one else was having fun, when Drew Honey told us to sing the chorus, I fucking sang it. He pointed the mic towards the screen. He wanted us to sing the stand-up chorus with them.
He did. He did.
But it was cute and fun. But they still weren't done.
They still were not done, because then we got another encore stage of Someone. And now they're back in their white Prince outfits and they're at mic stands.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think most of my complaints have to do with the order in which the songs came out, because the more that I think about this and like think about the like arc of the like story they tried to tell, I suppose, although there really isn't one.
No.
We'll talk about that more when we finally get to the end of this movie. But the set list, I just don't know why they cut it up and put it in different ways, because I feel like that is what made it feel longer.
Right.
That they put ballads that, like, the set list didn't have an arc. It didn't have a climax, and and then like a reasonable encore. I don't know. Because it felt like Stand Up should have been the final encore.
The real final encore.
Yeah. And like Someone could have been the actual last song. Because like, sure, and on a ballad.
Feels like
and like sit
song.
and sing and goodbye.
And you can do the acapella,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
a good ending
It's
song.
a good ending song. And then you come out and you do that. Just kidding, everybody stand up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Anyway, so we get Someone. They look beautiful.
Then it abruptly ends, cut to black, and you hear someone sneeze. And then the lights come up and Hyungwon is on the ground.
Yes. Hyungwon is like passed out on the ground, just like he was when they did their studio Choom.
Yes.
He immediately falls to the ground as soon as they're finished. And I find that relatable.
So then again, now we have a montage of tired Monstas. They're on the ground. They have fans on their faces. Their makeup artists are putting tissues under their bangs. And then Honey does a monologue about how everyone is going through this pandemic for the first time. And I'm like, are we really still movieing right now? Like, they were still doing the movie. But yeah, he's like still talking about It'll be so nice to see you all again, and this movie will be so good. I'm watching the movie. It just felt really like at that point I was so done.
I don't even have notes about that, to be honest. My next note after the someone is just that they start talking about their final dreams, which this is the fourth time I've written final in my notes.
Sure.
And is it the last one? I don't know. But I have notes that are indecipherable.
Because I have a bunch written down.
Oh no, they want to speak the language of music on the world stage, and they want to be that's what that says, language of music on the world stage, and they want to be singers until they're old. So like they do like a little talking head moment where each one talks about what they want to do, but that might be later. What is your notes?
No,
do you have anything about
I think
that?
You're right, because so it starts with like Honey being like, everyone's going through this pandemic for the first time, and like I hope we all get to see you soon. Then we have like again like montage, and they all go like, my dream, and then they say a little something, and we're watching more montage. Then it cuts to they're in the soundstage. I.M is slumped over in his chair. And Hyungwon is trying to walk out and is like, let's just go home. Let's just go home. And everybody's like on edge. And Honey goes like, my dream. And then Minhyun goes like, my dream. And they're like, stop it. We're never going to get to leave. And like, it just shows them like not. And then they're like, Kihyun, you have to go last. And then he picks up his mic and he's like, my dream. And then the movie actually ended.
Yes. Yeah. It ends with them. Again, I have some indecipherable notes. I don't know what this says. They're like, they want to be a singer until they're old. They can't wait until they see the Monbebe again. And then the last thing I wrote is shitting on each other. Because it just ends with that, them like shitting on each other and making each other laugh while they're trying to record these last final takes. The final thing we just watched of them saying they want to be a singer until they're old.
And then, really bafflingly, these extremely bright, like not matching the aesthetic, very cheap looking cards start popping up. And it's Shonu's face and it says, starring by...
Oh, yeah.
Shonu. And then it goes through all of the members and it says starring by. And all the captions had been like totally fine up to that point. Like there was no weird English in it.
There was nothing weird about it except for the
starring
credits.
By. And they didn't match. Like the aesthetic of them was very strange and they just like were out of nowhere. But everyone sat
looked like one of our casting
like our
PowerPoints.
Which I make in PowerPoint. Yeah, but we all sat in the theater till the lights came all the way up just in case.
Just in case.
But that was truly, actually, finally the end of the movie.
Yes. Well, I also wanted to stay to check the track list with my notes. And that was how I felt very proud of myself for knowing that it was Whispers in the Dark. I was like, oh, I guess that correctly. But yeah. So overall thoughts of the movie. When we left... I mean, like I said, I really had to pee. Sure. So, like, I did leave and I was like, how long was that movie? Like, it felt long to me. But I think what struck us the most was the fact that, like, it didn't really tell a story. Or at least it omitted the story we as Monbebe know to be true.
Yes.
Like, it tried to start telling us about their trainee days and their first concert and their first win. But they have a whole member that they have to cut out and cut around.
And it was so noticeable, the cutting around. Like, it was really honestly upsetting. Mm-hmm. Like, in the original, like, early montages where they're talking about them coming up, the only moments they could show of them dancing or singing were the very few times that Wonho was behind someone. Yeah. So you don't even get to see like the good part of the choreo. Is just like one weird moment where he wasn't visible.
Yeah. And then I think that's the reason that we didn't get the actual debut stage, or we didn't get to see them saying thank you on their first win, because Wonho is on the stage and they just like pretended like he never existed in this movie. And it felt really weird.
Like, I feel like, I don't know if they just like legally can't show him, which feels stupid, but like I don't think it would have bothered anyone if you just like showed the real old clips and you don't even have to address that there's an extra guy. People probably wouldn't have even noticed much.
People probably wouldn't have even noticed. I can't imagine that it's a legal issue.
Because he's still their artist. He still works there.
So that seems just like a really weird choice. And they even did like, I mean, I guess we just said that they wouldn't have even noticed. And so this is like sort of a contradictory statement, but like just the way that they didn't really talk about anything. Like when there was a point where they were talking about the first US tour and they like, and like Chu Honey was like being interviewed about it.
And he started his sentence by saying like, performing in the US and doing something there was like such a big dream of mine. So I thought he was about to say, but I didn't get to go because I had a mental breakdown and I wasn't there. But he didn't say that. He was like, and it was a great fun experience. And they like didn't.
But but then they used footage and he's not in the footage and they just don't address the fact that he wasn't there. Like he talks about it as if he was. And and like, obviously I didn't expect him to talk about his mental breakdown or whatever.
He doesn't like have to.
Needed to talk, like, yeah. Or I didn't even expect him to mention that, like, he could have just said like, oh, I wasn't able to join them or something. But the way that they just omitted things felt odd.
It felt super odd. And like, I wish, I said this when we were talking before, but I wish before we had seen this that I had seen the Twice documentary or the Blackpink documentary.
I don't have anything to compare.
Because my only thing I can compare it to is the SM documentary that's almost 10 years old. But watching that as a brand new K-pop fan, I felt like I learned so much about those groups and those people. And the I Am documentary does not explicitly state that JYJ left, but they do explicitly state that Changmin and Yuna were very scared to go back on stage as only two people, and they like talk about the struggle. So I watched it and I Googled what really happened, but they like address it sort of. And so you like get to know that it was like a hard time for them. And like, I don't know.
Yeah, and like this felt like a weird mix between a concert DVD and a documentary because like a concert DVD, it did not tell us the chronological story of Monsta X.
Yeah.
It did not take the time to introduce each member or tell us any kind of narrative about their struggles.
So it can't be for like people who don't
Right. So
know
it can't
about
be
them.
about people who don't know about them, but it did like sometimes include a timeline, and it like kind of tried to tell you, I guess, in chronological order about their time in the US. But they also didn't. I don't know why it feels like such a like, I don't want to say like, well, half done.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I have a theory that Eshi got like when they made All About Love that he signed some deal to make a movie, and when they were supposed to tour in 2020, they were going to film a tour movie. But it couldn't happen, but deadlines and things were paid, and like you have to make, so I think this was the movie that they could make. But I think what upset me about it was like, sure, we had these little bits of timeline, but the rest of the extra stuff we got was literally them just telling us about the movie we were watching.
Yes, and they started the movie by saying in this meeting about the movie that they wanted to show something new. And we reflected in the car ride home that it seemed just like all the vlogs we would have seen on YouTube.
Anything that comes out on YouTube.
Yeah, it just seems like, you know, behind the scenes footage of Monsta X stages and concerts. And like, I liked it. And the stages were amazing. Like we said, the performances themselves were phenomenal.
The experience was like, it was very fun.
But it definitely wasn't something I had not seen before. And I did not leave that movie knowing more about Monsta X than I went into it.
Yes, I agree. And I think if you had like taken it felt like if you took all the parts where they were talking about what the movie was going to be and just cut that together, it would have been like a 10-minute thing that you would put on YouTube before the movie comes out.
Yes.
To be like, here's a feature. It like felt like a
featurette
of Monsta X talking about a movie, but it was the movie. It was like 30% of the movie.
Yeah.
So I guess like I came away from it being like, I'm not really sure what as a whole, like what the movie was.
It was just a movie about making a movie.
Yeah. And it wasn't meta enough to like justify that much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. It was a good experience, but like I felt like we were talking before, like we didn't see the Blackpink documentary, but we had people in our lives who don't know about K-pop and did watch the Blackpink documentary and came
told
away from it
like, wow, that was really good.
That was good. I'm curious. I learned a lot about them and I want to learn more about K-pop, or like,
yeah, like I want to know more about them or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't know. I would just be really interested because as fans of Monsta X, like we enjoyed it because it just felt like bonus material, right? Yeah, it was just like, oh, we get like great. They look beautiful, and we get to just like listen to them talk and watch them perform and like fun. Great. But for somebody who doesn't know anything about K-pop or anything about Monsta X, I would be very intrigued to know what they thought about it because it doesn't, like a documentary, tell any kind of narrative. And so I wonder if the Blackpink one does in some way, or at least like makes more of an effort to introduce
to tell their story or something.
Introduce the members and stuff. But I don't know.
But we have lots and lots of comments because many listeners also got to see this film and they left their thoughts in the Discord, and we would love to read and discuss them.
Yes, the very first person to chime in is Marie. And she said, I had a feeling it was going to be a few full performances in there, and it was great, but I wanted to see so much more behind the scenes footage of preparing a concert. I was expecting more of that. I did tear up once. No, not because it was emotional, but because Changhyun in that outfit during the Love Killa stage absolutely killed me. Sweaty face emoji. My friend who was with me kept laughing at me, inhaling sharply and or hiding my face behind my hands whenever Changhyun appeared on screen. Seeing performances on such a big screen with that sound system is so different. I'm usually not one to watch music stages. I just don't get much out of it. But here I was so overwhelmed with every performance. It felt so much more epic and high quality.
Agreed with all of that. It really was like such an experience. Okay, this next comment is from Susie, and full disclosure, Susie did like record a voice memo of this right after, but she said that she says and too many times and was too flustered, so I'm just gonna read her comments instead because they're the same. Okay. Susie says, I agree with Marie. I was expecting more behind content, but I really, really love the stages, so I'm not complaining about that. I think even the genre of behind content wasn't that great. Only one dance practice and they were wearing makeup. Did they record the recording of the final stage production meeting on the same day, even though it said different days? They were wearing the same clothes. I noticed because damn, I love Chongkyun's gray sweatpants sweater combo with the purple hat. Squinty face emoji. IDK, it didn't really feel as real as some of the content we do get. But that's my only criticism. Haha. And in many ways, I'm really glad it wasn't too raw and we didn't get into No Mercy again. COVID sucks and I miss performing is already a lot to handle emotionally. No Mercy was the show that Monsta X was formed on, and it was emotionally trying. But it would have been interesting to even mention that they fucking formed the group on a show.
Yeah, we didn't even learn that. We didn't even learn when they debuted.
No, they said nothing.
Or the year in which any of the things mentioned in the timeline happened.
That's true.
No years were mentioned, which is why I said it was like a timeline-ish.
Sure.
Because we know it was in chronological order, but if you didn't know anything about Monsta X, you would not have known that. Anyway.
Susie continues, I have not stopped thinking about the Gambler stage and how extra hard it hit on the big screen. Holy shit. I went alone to the theater, and I wasn't sure how much squealing is allowed when there are strangers, but oh my God, if I could have screamed, I would have. All 3 of the red outfit performances were stellar. Phenomenal editing with close-ups and not just faces, but other body parts, hands, etc. doing the moves. I only mourn not getting to see Shonu's Love Killa body rolls on the big screen. Crying face emoji. Then again, maybe it's safer this way. Laughing skull emoji. Kihyun's singing is everything to me. Heart emoji. I did like the dance practice scene and Minhyuk and Hyungwon arguing. So cute. Oh, and I loved hearing from their choreographers and their managers and their makeup artists. That was so cool.
Amazing. Our next comment comes from Neffy. Neffy says, I went with a friend, so we were happy fangirling together. We laughed so hard at their recording booth and dance practice shenanigans to the point of tears. Seeing them behave like kids, it's always very entertaining. I was not a fan of how they edited their past history. Alas, that's my bone to pick with Starship. Although I enjoyed the staff interviews, they left me wondering what they would have said about Wonho if he hadn't left. The amount of performances and behind the scenes was balanced, yet kind of wish they spent a bit more time on the latter. Got a bit emotional during the dreaming performance because of the lyrics, but apart from that, I didn't cry. My friend's only critique was that they could have organized better the performance order. Too many chill tracks back to back, breaking momentum. The movie was nice. We enjoyed it very much, but I can't say it's perfect. There's something missing. I can't put my finger on what that something might be. P.S. During red outfit performances, I felt attacked by Minhyuk. I don't know what they gave to that Maltese, but his charisma was mesmerizing. Okay, I love that you called him a Maltese because actually that really, really fits. I do often think of him as a puppy, and that is an accurate puppy for him to be. But yes, I agree. The way that Neffy described like something missing that you can't quite put your finger on, I feel you. I agree.
I just think it was because like it just must have really just kneecapped anything they wanted to do to try to cut around an entire person. Like I said, like the footage that they had to show was like not the best footage.
Yeah.
There was only one time I noticed, it was during one of the like Juwon crying mints from the old concert. They showed like for a quick flash, it was like just Juhan, but in the back on the big video screen was blurred. But they hadn't done, they usually didn't blur. They just cut. But to try to cut around, like, and some of the videos were like zoomed in a weird, like just trying to cut around a whole person, like leaves, it just makes things so weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just made me wonder, like, what was the goal of the movie, because it obviously wasn't to tell the story of Monsta X, and it also didn't really tell the, like, it doesn't tell the origin of Monsta X, right? How they got to where they are now. And it kind of tried to tell the story of them in the US, but it doesn't really tell that story either. Whatever.
Okay, Tosh said, it was so sweet. I very much agree with everyone that it felt a little bit lacking. Like they talked more about being excited to make the movie than any footage of them preparing for it, LOL. It kind of felt like if you just became a mom baby during COVID times, then maybe this is something you'd enjoy. I don't know. I did enjoy it myself though, especially during the recording studio scene when they were all trying to gang up on Honey. Also, the performances were so good. A+ for the camera work and A++ to the stylist for those red outfits and not putting an undershirt on Chungkyun. Thank you. Bowing emoji. And also I made a friend since there were so few people in the theater. I invited her to sit next to me and she cried during the whole second half. It was actually kind of cute.
Oh, that's adorable. Okay. So, this next comment comes from someone whose username is "This is my sassy sweat handbook." And I just have to read this preface that says, "This is not my proudest moment, but I ditched my son to go watch the Monsta X movie." He walked away with his head hanging. I questioned what kind of mother I was, but having just got back from the movie, I have no regrets. Okay, so let's listen to this betrayal. A mother's betrayal. Okay, first of all, I had no expectations. I didn't really know what it was going to be. But getting to see them on the huge screen when I usually just watch them on my laptop was a whole different level. I really wanted to scream with Gambler, but that did not seem to be the vibe in the theater, so I held it in and was just involuntarily shaking through the whole movie instead. I couldn't contain how excited I was to see them. Like this. I thought about Shannon when Changkyun came in center for Love Killa. Loved that he was the only one not wearing a shirt under those red costumes. I really liked seeing the dance practice and the banter between Hyunwang and Minhyuk. The part when they mentioned that all of them came from families without sisters made a lot of sense to me. I also liked seeing Joo Honey playing director in the recording studio. It just amazes me how expert they have to be at singing, producing, dancing, stage design, camera work, and still through all the technique conveying real emotion through their music. I am so goddamn impressed with how hard they work, how hard-working they are. I couldn't take my eyes off Hyungwon during most of the stages. When I first started getting into Monsta X, Hyungwon came off as the clueless, cute, and ditzy one, but I got to see more of his professionalism in this movie, and Secrets, which I love, is his song. That has changed his image more for me. His face was just, like an angel? With this movie, it's clear I have crossed the line from objective appreciator of Monsta X music to true fanatic. I am scaring myself. I love them so much. When Changkyun talked about what it would be like if Monbebe left, I wanted to shout at the screen, I will never leave you. I will love you forever, Monsta X. Final observation. There weren't many people in the theater, confirming my suspicion that Portland is not a hotbed of K-pop. I am so grateful I have this Discord server to share all my feels with. A last thought. I agree with what others said that there was a lot of talking about making the movie rather than showing them making the movie. But the performances were really great, and just getting to see them in that way was such a treat for me when I usually only get to enjoy them on YouTube or through the podcast.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
There was one last comment asking for comments from me. Ava asked, Shannon, can I ask for a small favor and ask you to describe the apparently very noticeable lack of Changkyun's undershirt in the movie, just so much that really everyone felt the need to mention it. As I said before, it really truly was insane because the rest of them are all so fully buttoned in these
so
suits,
covered up.
like
wrist to neck.
There might have even been turtlenecks on a few. I don't know.
Absolutely. Like not even a forearms.
But I feel like Changkyun's was short sleeved or maybe not even.
I think
don't
he
remember.
had at least one short sleeve because I feel like I remember a bicep with a band around it.
Yeah,
with a
and
black band around it. So
That
at
sounds
least
right.
one of his arms was out, I think.
But the point is that like this stage is like a bare LED stage in there in these maroon and black outfits, and it's all very dark. And when his arms go up and this brown stomach
just all
appears,
tummy.
and like I'm telling you, on a movie theater, it was 5 human feet of stomach. Like you couldn't. It was so
much.
big.
It was so big.
And it just kept appearing because they do so
There's
much
so
arm
much
up choreo.
arm choreo in that song.
Yeah, so it was truly a sight to behold.
blessing.
I know, like, there's a reason everyone mentioned it. It was a beacon, a moment in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all of the thoughts we had from Discord. But I hope that everybody who went to see this had a good time. It's fun to have a K-pop movie in the theaters.
Yeah, and again, for the millionth time, I will reiterate that just a regular concert in a movie theater would be cool too, if not much better than this.
So
K-pop gods, if you're
please.
out there, industry professionals who definitely listen to this podcast, just put a whole concert there. Pull an SM theater, RIP, and put that holographic concert out.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be holographic.
No.
Just make it a regular movie and we will go.
And we'll go because it was really like those stages were truly the saving grace, best part.
Oh,
like, loved it.
the reason the movie was worth watching
Sure.
is for those stages because those stages are excellent and the vocals are phenomenal.
Yes. Well, before we break for the random game, to keep on Monsta X weekend topic, I wanted to regale my story of going to the
yes.
pop-up. Because this
In
was
honor of this movie.
Yes, because this was a whole like movie thing. They did a premiere the night before we saw it at the CGV in Koreatown, and friend of the podcast Jane Kim got to go. And
Amazing.
So exciting. So like Monsta X was there and like they watched the movie for the first time with like a full theater of people. Very fun, very cool. But then they also set up a pop-up shop where they did fan signs for 2 days. It was like $250 and you get all the merch and you get to meet Monsta X. They did the plexiglass COVID style. No high touches, no breathing on nobody. But
Yeah.
they did do that. So I didn't go to that. I did not pay to go meet them. Too overwhelming. Don't want to do that. No, thank you. But I did want to go see what they had at the store because we went to the Super M
Yes,
pop-up.
we did.
So now I want to like see what these things are like. But also there was apparently an ATEEZ pop-up happening at the same time elsewhere in town.
competition.
I know. So I made a bit of a mistake and I saw that the thing was on La Brea and I Googled and I saw the pin and there was a Target next door and I was like, I know where the Target is on La Brea. Did not look at the map any further. Drove to where I know the Target on La Brea to be. Start walking to where this pop-up is supposed to be, and then I get like 3 blocks away and it's not there. So then I finally Google it and there's another Target on the same side of the street 3 miles down the road.
Why?
I know. But I also should have looked. It was my own fault. So then I like tried to like
No,
shuffle.
there shouldn't be 2 Targets within 3 miles of each other on the same side of the same street. That's the capitalism's fault.
Okay. I agree. And all of our Targets are like half city Targets too. They're all too
Yeah,
small.
put both those Targets together for a real Target, assholes.
But so then I have to like, so then I tried to start like scrambling back to my car and I was stupidly wearing my slip-on Vans and I tripped on the sidewalk and like absolutely tore the side off of one of my feet. So now I'm bleeding on my white shoes and like trying to get back to my car. But I was already out and I'd already like hurt myself and I was like, I'm not going home. Like that would be too sad.
You can't go home empty-handed and bloody-footed.
Right. So then I get 3 miles down the road. Thankfully, there was a spot right in front of this place. It looked so shady because the entire side of the street is entirely abandoned buildings.
Oh, sure.
Graffiti everywhere, people sleeping in front of it. But you could see there was like etched like Monsta X the Dreaming on one of the windows. And I was like, all right, I hope this is it.
It's just an elaborate trap.
Who knows? But it was weirdly, it was just like one big white room. And the Super M pop-up that we went to kind of like weaved you through a little like exhibit of like big posters of them and autographs.
They did like an art museum where they make those like fake walls to like give yourself more wall space to put more pictures.
And there was like video, and there were videos, and it was just
they were
like
projecting things, and they were like playing the album on a loop,
and the floor was covered in Super M stickers, and like they really did it up.
They had shit to see.
This was just like an empty white gallery space. There was a Lexus in the corner because it was sponsored by Lexus. So there's a whole car.
Whole ass car.
Just chilling there. And then on one of the big blank white walls, they had all these like little square like Polaroids of Monsta X like arranged in a grid with a big Monsta X the Dreaming decal. And then in the middle of the room was a bench that was shaped like their logo, and it was painted all these crazy colors, and all of them had signed it, so there were like autographs on it. And then there were 2 sad IKEA bookshelves like 15 feet away from each other on the opposite wall with like a few CDs on them. And then all of the shirts were hanging from yarn on the ceiling. And then they did have one like really cool like video booth with the little like selfie stick on a spinny thing, so you could put your phone on it and like push it and like do a little video in front of this.
Oh,
that was like the biggest, coolest thing they had. But anyway, that's all that was in there.
They didn't even have like Monsta X cutouts.
No, nothing. And the people who were behind the counter, like getting the merch, seemed annoyed with everyone, and they were like rolling their eyes and whatever.
Boo.
So it was a different vibe than the Super M one. But anyway, because I am a sucker, I bought this hoodie that I am wearing. I got a cropped hoodie, and it has like some One Day lyrics on it, a little Monsta X logo, but it's Shawwell colored.
Yeah.
Which is definitely why I bought it. Always being a multi-stan. But I also got, because the girl was like, we also have like all the member CDs except for I Am, and we don't have any show new autographs because he wasn't here. And I was like, okay, well, can I get a Honey CD? And she was like, do you want the autographed one? Like an autographed one? And I was like, oh no, I don't, assuming they were really expensive. I was like, oh, I don't need an autographed one. And she was like, oh, they're all autographed. They're $15. And I was like, I want it.
Yeah.
So I have a signed Honey album now. I've never had any signed K-pop anything. So I have a signature, and it's really precious. I didn't think it would be so
Amazing.
precious, but it's precious.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
So even though I hurt my foot, I got a hoodie and an autograph out of it, and I saw it, and I did an experience. So
You did it and you went.
I went.
For
But
the
that was the
Monstas.
Monsta X weekend, and we listened to the Dreaming so much, and we'll get to that later in the episode. But for now, we got to take a break, and we'll be right back with the random game. All right, we're back. And the K-pop gods surprised us.
Oh, they
The
smiled
random
upon
game
us.
generator gave us TVXQ.
Yes! Which has inspired us to say, well, I mean, this was always going to happen, but this will inspire us to do it sooner. We're going to do a deep dive on TVXQ.
Yeah, first
So-
first deep dive of 2022. This seems like a sign,
First
right?
deep dive of 2022. It's got to be TVXQ.
TVXQ.
It wouldn't be Destiny if it didn't rhyme. So we have to. All that to say, we're not going to dive into TVXQ right now. Wait until 2022 and we'll get back to them. But just so you know, they're currently a pop duo. You know, and Max Changmin SM group known as Toho Shinki and DBSK.
Dobang Shingi.
Yes, that's what the DBSK stands for.
And Toho Shinki is the way the Japanese fans say it. So they have
Yes.
lots of names.
They have lots of names, which was very confusing at the beginning when I first heard about them because I thought maybe that they were different groups. But yeah. Do we want to talk anything else about them?
I mean,
knowing that we're going to do a deep dive
We
on them
will
in
do a
perhaps
deep
a
dive.
month?
We will do a deep dive, but TVXQ, like I mentioned actually earlier in this episode, surprisingly, was a group that lost members in a really dramatic way.
Yes, they sure
And you
did.
can listen to our episode that I think was called Legal Battles. What was the one where everybody was contract disputes?
Contract disputes.
You can hear all about how TVXQ fell apart in the contract disputes episode.
And stay tuned for when we talk about it even more in the upcoming deep
in
dive.
this deep dive. But
But
they're
yeah.
a super, super important, like really late first gen, early second
2003
gen.
is when they
Yes.
debuted. So they have been around for a very long time and we love them very much. And we're going to watch one of their best freaking songs and definitely the most covered. If you know nothing about TVXQ, you may know this song because groups continue to cover it all the time on special stages, mamas, etc. So,
And this is Neurotic by all 5 member TVXQ. This is before the Troubles.
before the troubles.
Get ready.
But
If-
still their most watched.
but still their most watched because it is important.
Such
and
a
I'm
good
sure that it, or maybe it won't because of the 5. It might not make it onto the remaster list.
Oh,
to get remastered because they don't.
You know what would be really funny if they did,
erased them.
or if they just blurred them.
Oh my
out.
god, just like made
Like,
them blurs.
Yeah, or if they made, you know, what would be even better is if they just had present day Changmin and Yuno get in their old outfits and remake
redo
it
it.
with the two of them.
I was gonna say they could take all their footage of Yuno and Changmin and just put their faces over the other 3,
so that it's like
only
5
them.
of them. They have so many options.
I know.
They have so many
There's so much
options.
technology. But if you would like to watch Neurotic with us, pull it up and press play when I say go. 3, 2, 1, go.
TVXQ.
All right, we
Okay,
got
we got
tank
boys,
tops.
we got guns out,
We got
3 sets
bangs.
of arms, and all of Yuno's chest.
Oh, they got snatched.
Ooh, by a mysterious floating lady in red.
This room.
Here we go.
This is the most second gen music
Yeah.
video room I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, just full chest out, no shirt on
That's one
at
of the
least 2 of
J's.
them.
I don't know the difference between the 2 J's, but I know who the Y is. Oh my god, there's so much skin.
Yes, it's really quite shocking. Oh my god, look at that hairdo.
Yes, that's huge, hun. He's disgraced.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the 5 of them have almost their entire chest out. And they're like kind of wearing jackets. but not really. And then we have the other set of them being like trapped by this woman.
Ooh,
And getting tied up. Oh, wow. Saucy.
Also, I think we've mentioned this on the show before. This song was banned by the government, and they had to record it as "Under My Sky" because "Under My Skin" is too
racy.
Erotic.
Oh my God, we cracked the code.
Trapped. I love this scarf dance in Yuno's scenes. He's like
Yuno
is big
he's like
scarves.
trapped by like aerial scarves, and then the woman is like playing with them like a puppeteer. Pacho.
Micha.
I got you.
But yes, every single boy idol that ever trained from this moment on knows this entire dance.
Yeah. And there have definitely been some girl group covers of this.
It's very important.
Yeah, it's a very important. Before he changed his teeth.
I love original teeth, you know.
You got it.
Oh, I love you.
I love that.
Oh my God, this flexing and veins. Oh my God, this
He's
is
gonna break
so
free.
much.
This is erotic.
He broke the box.
They're all breaking free. Oh, Changmi. Look at that flight suit. You know.
Those asymmetrical bangs are disgusting.
Someone just took a square chunk out of this man's hair, and it looks insane. Okay, now they've all busted free, and they're coming after her, so she's running away.
Oh no,
they have her cornered.
Oh wow, I'm sure
she literally gets destroyed by their powerful walk. They're just too neurotic.
Oh my God, oh no, their eyes are glowing.
Glowy eyes.
Oh my God.
Oh, TVXQ.
Wow.
There's no one like you.
Wow.
So stay tuned in 2022
for more TVXQ. Wow, that was so great. All right, it's weekly recommendation time, and we already decided that we're just going to talk about The Dreaming some more.
Yeah, because the very next day, we got the whole album.
Yeah, it came out at 9. I got to download it that night when we got home because it came out that day. But it's another 10-track English album like their last one.
Indeed.
So that's really nice. Lots of songs.
I was listening to it today, so I literally have it pulled up.
I do too.
Right now.
The songs aren't much longer or have bridges we're keeping our same
pattern of Monsta X's English songs. Also keeping with the patterns of Monsta X English songs. If they're not about fucking, then they're usually about a pretty unhealthy relationship with both people and alcohol.
Yeah.
So definitely don't take any advice from any Monsta X songs. And if your relationships are like a Monsta X song, that's a toxic relationship.
Right.
Just has to be said.
For sure.
I love you, Monsta X. I hope you don't live like your songs. I don't think you do because I know you don't write them, but it must be said.
It's just very interesting that Eshi or whoever has decided that Monsta X's American persona is fuck boys. Like no dream
alcoholic
boyfriend.
fuck
yeah,
boys.
like with really
party fuck boys
who are terrible. And in one of the songs in this album say they will never change or get any better.
They will never get better.
They will never get better.
The song is called Better. It's the one explicit song on the album. And do they get to say fuck? Like, I want to fuck you? No. Hyungwon says, when I'm fucking wasted.
Or we're both I'm fucked up.
He says, when I'm fucked up, wasted. Yeah. When I'm fucked up, wasted.
Yes.
And I'm like, That's the one. That is a that's a wasted opportunity to drop one fuck, and that's where you put it. Come on. You have so many other songs where you're literally talking about somebody naked.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on.
That's true.
I also laughed because they have, like we said, another song called Secrets.
Yes.
But this song is literally the opposite of the last song called Secrets, because the last song called Secrets was like, girl, I know you got secrets. Tell me your secrets. Tell me what you want. And this song is like, actually, don't talk. I don't want to know your secrets. None of it matters. Tell me a story with all of your body and none of your words,
That's
babe.
my favorite honey line ever.
My favorite.
Tell me a story that I've never heard with all of your body and none of your words, baby.
All of your body and
None of your words.
I also love the sweet irony of hearing Shonu say,
Cause you've done some things, and so if I can relive it there just for the night, okay?
the song is like, don't tell me about anything that you used to do because we're both whores and it will hurt our feelings if we tell each other about it.
Yeah, the chorus is, I don't want to think about you before, and then like leave them all behind because I can't imagine what you'd think of mine.
Right.
It's like, show you it's okay that you sleep with married women. That does not bother me. I won't judge you, my darling.
But it was such a funny little shock because when I saw it, I was like, oh, good, they put Secrets on this album because that made sense.
But no,
it's a different
one.
one.
It's a new song. It's a different song.
Let's see. Should we go through the songs?
Do we want to talk about any songs that like aren't in the show? So in the movie is One Day, You Problem, Whispers in the Dark, and The Dreaming.
Yes.
So 4 out of the 10 songs.
And just a note, because I don't know if I said it earlier, but You Problem was written by the one guy who also wrote Dynamite by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a very similar, like extremely catchy, super poppy song. But if you listen to the lyrics at all, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. You're just like saying stuff.
Yeah, they're nonsense. They are nonsense.
But that guy has a bag and he's figured it out and like good for him.
And
I hope
make
this
a lot of
song
money
is
from
also
that.
as popular as Dynamite because hey, it is catchy.
So then there's 2 other songs there's one called Tied to Your Body and another one called Blame Me. And both of these are like very fun, like sexy songs. I think Blame Me might be my favorite B-side off of it. Because the chorus is just like, baby, don't blame me. If I'm falling, don't blame me. But the main line is, don't blame me if I'm thinking about you naked. Look at you, look at you, look at you, looking like a daydream. I love it because they just scream naked, and it's great.
Really
It's great. It's
really
great. It's just like that Taeyong song, Naked, and I love it. I like it. And then there's About Last Night, which we both agreed sounds like it came out in 2008.
Yeah, it has like a very, like, you said it kind of reminds you of that, oh, home, let me go home.
Oh, yes, at the very beginning, just the very beginning, like, spoken verse.
And then it also,
where they talk about getting very fucked up.
And it also reminds me of, like, some kind of techno-y dance song that I can't place or remember any words, but I feel like it went like, meet me at the borderline, oh wow, I don't know. This song kind of sounds like that, but my favorite part of it is, this is what I'm hearing. I don't know if the lyrics are right, but all the Genius lyrics seem wrong and made up to me. But it sounds like Hyungwon is saying, and there were pretty people twisting on me, dancing on me out of control.
I think that is what they're saying.
I liked the use of pretty people because they could have said pretty women and it would have fit.
Yeah.
But pretty people is funny.
It is
like
fun.
it.
Well, and the song is about like getting drunk
being
and like
so drunk
that
and
you
that
don't remember.
when you are blackout is the only time you're happy.
Yeah.
These
the nights that I
are
feel
not
blurry.
doing well.
Yeah.
All these blurry nights are when I feel alive.
Yeah, and this like great falsetto. But yes, just like that other Minhyuk song on the All About Love, or that Minhyuk line on the All About Love album, he says something about like when I'm like miserable is when I feel
Yes.
alive or something. And literally every time I hear it, I'm just like, that's so unhealthy, Minhyuk. I say that out loud whenever
Yes.
that happens, wherever I am when that line comes on. Anyway, About Last Night is a very fun song about not remembering the night before. But that part about like pretty people, it's like the pre-chorus, and it's about like being in a club, like dancing. And I just feel like the way that the line is very clever, and the syncopation of it, I feel like fits the image of a crowd like writhing over someone. I really like that part too.
And then as we mentioned, Better is the only explicit song, and it is such a booty shaker for being a song like about a guy being like, I'll never change. So, but don't leave me because I'll really fall apart if you leave me. But I'm never gonna get any better. So don't walk away. But don't forget, never gonna get any
Thanks
better.
for loving me, even though I suck.
And then Blow Your Mind, you pointed out rightfully today, sounds super similar to a Justin Timberlake song that we can't.
Burn out.
What is that? Something. But it sounds like that. But they go, Blow Your Mind. And they're like very high. That's like the main part of it.
Well, because it starts out that way, and it almost, at the very beginning, I thought it was sort of like Senorita. That Justin Timberlake song, but I actually think the intro is a different Justin Timberlake song. But after that beginning, when the beat actually drops, it kind of turns more into a disco song. It like has a very different vibe than the Justin Timberlake song it evokes at the beginning. And it's a very fun song.
It is a very fun song. It's a really great album.
Yeah.
I really like it. I'm happy they put out another fun English album, and I think everyone should check it out.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite B-side?
I think at the moment, like, again, I really love the way that The Dreaming taps into my dramatic inner child. It like really, really is cuddling her. But like, I love, like, I do think Better is just like such a booty shaker, and I like it so much. And then I already know like every single word of Whispers in the Dark, and I like sing it in the car. Like,
I love Whispers in the Dark. Just that, like, it's very sweeping and grand, and it's great. I love Whispers in the Dark. Yeah. Check it out.
So check out The Dreaming. It's very good. But that is it for us this week. And next week we will start our end of the year shenanigans. So we've got AMAK Awards, Best B-Sides, and all of our favorite songs of the year.
Yes, it's time for our most arduous task of the whole year.
Yeah.
Trying to determine favorites.
And it's going to be hard.
It's going to be really hard this year.
I started on my little spreadsheet, and I was like absolutely stunned at the like things. Like, this year has just been so much longer than I thought.
I know.
And like things that came out earlier in the year that I didn't even remember. Like Baekhyun put an album out this year before he went to the military. And like Hyuna, I'm Not Cool was in February.
Yep.
Like, all these things. We had such a long year, and I don't know how I'm going to decide.
I don't know, but every time I sit down to start thinking about it, I say, no, I can't. And then I walk away. Mind. So I really got to get that done.
Yeah, we'll just need, I'm sure the pressure and the time. It'll be, they're usually done under duress anyway.
It's true. It's true.
But until then, if you would like to get in contact with us, we can be found at AMAKPopPod on Twitter and Instagram, AMAKPopPod@gmail.com for any emails. You can call us, 181-AMAKPOP5. You can send us things, P.O. Box 26096, Los Angeles, California, 90026. If you want to join our Discord, like all the people who posted movie reviews today, you can get to that in our linktree/AMAKPop. There's lots of people in there talking every day, having fun. You can join our Patreon, get extra content, patreon.com/AMAKPopPod. And I think that's all the places. Last week I said it in a crazy fever dream because we were running out of time, and I got it out in like 5 seconds. It was amazing.
Gun to your head, go, what's the ending? And you did it. You nailed
it.
You said all of the things that you needed to say.
But yeah, thanks for listening to this episode, and I hope everybody who saw the movie had a good time, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Jonghyun, you're our inspiration.
They say hindsight's 20/20. made it